Fresh and Fit Moneyclips. Get ready for an exclusive deep dive into the world of real estate with Myron, Fresh, and special guest Ryan Pineda. Join them on the Fresh and Fit Podcast Money Monday show as they discuss wholesale, fix and flip, and navigating market crashes. Don't miss out. Hit subscribe and tune into the YouTube short pod for quick insights, courtesy of Moneyclips. And for the full scoop, catch the podcast on Rumble and YouTube. Subscribe now. Stay ahead of the real estate game with Myron, Fresh, and Ryan Pineda, only
Ryan Pineda,
on the Fresh and Fit Podcast.
Thank you for hosting us.
In Vegas, man.
Yeah,
Crazy.
appreciate you guys coming by, man.
Yeah, man. So, question. I've seen some of your content before. Really big into real estate investing. Got your money right. This is something that a lot of guys need to take seriously nowadays. But for the audience members that might not know who you are, can you introduce yourself to the people?
Yeah, the quick version is today, I'm an entrepreneur. We've got 6 different 7 to 8 figure businesses. A lot of those are real estate based. So, we'll flip over 100 homes a year. We own over 550 rental units. We got education, events, got a tax company. So a lot of stuff on the entrepreneurial side. But, before I was an entrepreneur, I was a professional baseball player. So I got drafted by the Oakland A's in 2010 and, played in the minor leagues for many years. Never got to the big leagues. So, I didn't make any money playing baseball. I was making $1,200 a month.
Wow.
Yeah, just living on that.
Still pro though.
Still a pro.
Still pro. Getting paid for it.
Getting paid to play, right? But I had to get side hustles because I was pursuing my dream playing baseball and I had to go survive. So that's how I kind of fell into entrepreneurship. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just wanted to play baseball.
Ryan, take us back to when you were a kid. What do you think inspired you to want to get into business after all, eventually, you would say?
Well, like I said, I was focused on sports, man. And, growing up, I was always good. I got a D1 scholarship and then I got drafted and all that. So
Where'd you go play D1 at?
Cal State Northridge.
Okay.
So, did all that. And so I was like, dude, I'm on the path. Like everything's going to plan and I'll get rich when I get to the big leagues. But obviously it didn't work out. And I just started to think about man, what am I going to do? And I look back at my parents. I didn't know this when I was growing up. You're asking about the beginning, but both of my parents were entrepreneurs. My mom was a realtor and my dad owned a little convenience store. And so, I watched them be able to work whenever they wanted, right? As an entrepreneur, we set our own schedule. We can make as much as we want to make, right? And so I was like, oh, well, if I want to go pursue baseball, I need something flexible and, entrepreneurship's the way.
Are brand new. And speaking about Ask Smart Advantages, we're actually giving away an Ask Smart Advantage right now.
Yes, we are actually. So, funny story. I met these guys a couple months ago. I seen their business model. I seen how they operate. Very honest guys with integrity. And I was like, yo, bro, how do we get back to people that support us? Freshandfit, Merchant Luxury. And we decided to do a giveaway of one of our cars. So, there's a clip actually we could play, if you don't mind, Bills, on the page whenever you're ready. Okay. It's the reel. Yeah, the reel, yeah. Guys, it's your boy Fresh from Freshandfitpodcast. Today we're giving away an Ask the Mark bet. That is right. You get a free car, trip to Miami, and take in your pocket. Who can beat that? It's pretty simple. $2 per enter. That's it. Click the link in the bio. See you guys in there.
Honestly, I had no desire to do real estate. My mom, like I said, had been a realtor.
Okay.
And she's like, real estate's good. You should just, if you're trying to get something right away, just get your license. Anyone can do it. And I was like, all right. But what I didn't know was in 2010, it was literally the hardest time to be a realtor. Realtors complain today.
Right after the market crash.
Yeah, the market had crashed. Everyone was bankrupt. No one had money. And guess what? The prices were so low that if you did sell something, you made no money.
No margins, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was tough. I didn't know it at the time, but I was like, dude, being a realtor sucks.
Were you a realtor here in Nevada or in California?
Here in Vegas.
Here in Vegas.
Yep.
Speaking of Vegas, I'll leave that one for after because I did notice quite a bit of difference from Vegas from the last time I came. So you mentioned earlier that you were flipping houses and that's currently what you do now. For the audience that might not know what that means, can you break that down, what flipping a house is?
Yeah, so the traditional way of flipping a house is you just get a really good deal, fix it up, you got to go get the money to buy it obviously, then you fix it up, go relist it, flip it, make a profit, right? And that was how I got started. And most people never want to start because they're like, oh, well, I need all this money to flip. And it's like, no, there's actually a lot of ways to flip without using any of your own money, right? You can use other people's money. And then there's also things like wholesaling, which I got into later where I was like, wow, I don't even need to fix it up or buy it at all. I can just sell the contract. And so, yeah, we've been doing that the last 8 years.
Can you break down, because wholesaling is something that a lot of people in our audience ask about quite a bit.
Okay.
As far as for guys that don't have the capital maybe to go ahead and get into real estate.
Yeah.
How would one go about doing that?
Yeah, I think wholesaling is a great way to go about, like, for somebody starting. Because like you said, you don't need a lot of capital. So for like those unfamiliar, the 1 minute version of wholesaling is this. Like, Myron has a house and I go and get it under contract for $300,000, right? And I know that Fresh will pay $320 for it, right? And so instead of me just buying it for $300 and then selling it after the fact and paying all these fees and getting the money, I can just assign my rights to the deal to Fresh for the difference. And so, when it comes time to close, he sends $320, you get $300 as the seller, I get $20 as the wholesaler, and like it's like that. I mean, it just is money out of thin air. It's crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you're connecting buyers to sellers and you're doing your due diligence to find good deals for them, and then you bring it to the real estate investor and they basically buy it.
100%.
So you mentioned also fixing and flipping, which, the Burr method. Can you break that down for the people real quick, how that works and how one can go about doing it without money?
Yeah. So the Burr method and fixing and flipping are basically getting the same kind of deal, but with different exit strategies. Okay. So basically for a Burr to work, which, Burr stands for buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat. Yeah. Basically what you have to do is get a property all in at 80% of whatever it's going to be worth. We call it ARV, after repair value. And so if I know that this house is worth, say, $500,000 ARV, I know I need to be all in at 400.
After it's fixed.
After it's fixed,
Yep.
I need to be all into the deal at 400, purchase price and renovation. Because what's going to happen is if I get all in at 400,000, if I fix it up and, everything looks good, I have two choices. Number one, I can go flip it, just throw it back on the market and go try and make probably $60K on that deal, because you're going to have all your other expenses and realtor fees and money costs and all that, right? So that's one avenue. Go flip it, make 50, 60K. The other avenue is go out and just get a loan on it and refinance it. And the cool thing is when you get a loan, they'll give you the appraised value now. Yep. So, hey, this house is worth 500. We'll give you 80% loan to value. And so if I'm all into it for 400 and it's worth 5, they'll refinance me the entire thing and I can be into it, no money into the deal.
Yep.
And own it forever.
That's yeah. The refinancing is like a glitch in the matrix, man. And it's tax-free money as well, which is like...
Tax-free money. You get depreciation and tax write-offs. I mean, people don't know this, but, if you're in the 40% tax bracket, let's just talk about the ultra-wealthy. Like, the reason they don't pay taxes is because if I buy that $500,000 home, there's something called depreciation that happens. And if I do something called a cost segregation analysis,
yep,
I can basically get, on average, 20 to 30% of the total price as a write-off. Right. So let's just say, if
for the non-structural stuff.
Yeah. So it's like, all right, $500,000 home, I might be able to go get $100,000 write-off this year. And it's like, if I pay 40%, that's $40,000 that I get to keep now. So, rentals are the way that people build really long-term wealth and, don't pay taxes today.
Yeah. No, it's wild, man, and that's why I got into real estate, because I pay less taxes now than I did when I was working for the government with making like 10 times less the money. So it's like, crazy. It's wild, man. And real estate really is like the best way to, avoid paying a lot of taxes, and it's all legal. And it's why people like Trump don't show their tax returns, right? Because they're just like, oh, well, I pay less taxes than everybody else. I don't want people to get mad. So you did the fixing and flipping. We had a conversation right before, and you were saying that you had flipped 50 houses right before you got on YouTube?
No, so I had at that point I had flipped multiple hundreds, but I had 50 going on at that time, active.
Can you take us through that, man? What was that like? We're working on 50 deals of flipping while simultaneously starting a YouTube channel during one of the, a scary time, I guess, as far as the pandemic going.
Yeah. So, I had been running my flipping business since 2015, and, I wasn't I knew social media was important, but I was just using it casually to get deals of hey guys, I'm flipping houses. If you got deals, send them to me. If you got money and you want to invest with me. That was it. Well, the pandemic hit, you know, and I'm into my career like every year. 2018, 2019, we had flipped over 100 homes each of those years. So I go into 2020, and when you're flipping 100 homes, you're usually going to have 40, 50 active, you know, and maybe 15 are under construction, 15 are on the market, 15 are, you know, in escrow to sell, and another 5 are just kind of sitting there waiting to get started, right? And that's kind of where I was at. You know, the world shut down. And I'm sitting there looking at my houses, and everybody's like, the market's going to tank. We're going into this massive recession. And I'm like, dude, you know, I've got like 50 homes right now.
Fire sale.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking you can't even fire sale some of them because nobody can buy. Like,
Yeah.
And some of them aren't done. They're not renovated. So you're like, what's going to happen here? And granted, in my mind, I was pretty confident like we were going to be fine because I was like, dude, this is all fake. Like, you can't just shut businesses down and expect the government to not do something about it.
Yeah.
And so I was figuring there was going to be some kind of bailout, but still, I couldn't go to the office. I couldn't like go on seller appointments. It was very hard to get deals because people were scared. And so I was like, what do I do with all my time? And so like other people, I was just sitting there in my house and I just turned on YouTube. And I wasn't even like a big YouTube watcher, but I just turned it on and you know, I asked people on Instagram. At that time, I had like 5,000 Instagram followers. I was like, who are like the biggest people to watch on Instagram? Who do you guys like? And they start naming all these names. I'm like, okay. So I start turning on these guys and then, you know, they're talking about real estate. And I'm like, dang, how many deals are these guys doing? And
Who were you watching at that point?
I was watching like my now friends, Graham Stephan and Meet Kevin and these guys.
Yeah.
I was like, how many deals are these guys doing? And they're like, yeah, you know, I've got like 5 rental properties. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's like, you're like, what amateur hour?
I got so many more.
Yeah, I was like, wait, why are these the biggest guys? And I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
But at the time, instead of like being a hater or getting mad, like my other friends would who are in the real estate industry, they'll be like, they were like,
they hate YouTubers probably.
Yeah, they're like, dude, these guys freaking ain't doing anything I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. And like, instead of being a hater, I looked at what they were doing. I was like, they're smarter than us. Like, they're making more money with no risk, just making videos. And I'm out here taking millions and millions of dollars of risk. I'm managing construction crews. I'm talking to sellers. Like, I'm doing way harder work and with way more risk. And I'm like, I'm the dummy. I should be on that camera doing what I do. And so, you know, I just was like, I'm making YouTube videos. And so like I ended up actually just consuming all their content. And they both had courses on how to make YouTube channels and stuff. And I was like, I'll watch it. These guys are successful.
Yeah.
And I started making videos during the pandemic.
But isn't it
That's
funny,
right around
right?
the same time we
Those
started as
creators
well.
that you see online, like you have the knowledge yourself. So you kind of like package it in a way where they can understand, people can understand at a lower level, so to speak. But your knowledge is already in you. Just talk about it online. Why not?
Well, and that's why they're very successful, and they still are to this day, is like they know their audience is very much beginners and everyone else. And so they're dumbing it down like in a great way. And I do the same, right? I could talk about way more complex stuff, but it's like 90% of the world is like trying to get their first deal.
Yeah.
So how do I help people get their first deal?
I don't forget, Graham had a course about YouTube, and he said whenever you're making videos, you have to dumb it down to like a level where people can understand for beginners, because most people that watch YouTube are kind of like at a beginning stage. So you're right.
So I have a question for you. So you said you were rehabbing all these houses, you had all these fix and flips going on. How are you able to get, and I guess this is, I'm asking this curious as a real estate investor myself, how are you able to get people to like rehab and fix it with supply chain issues during the pandemic, with construction companies wanting to focus on commercial deals versus maybe residential deals, or maybe you were doing commercial flips? How were you able to get people to like do your projects?
You know, at least on the flipping side, we didn't have a lot of those supply issues that others did.
Okay.
You know, like I know there was a huge lumber shortage.
Yes.
Like for us flipping houses, we didn't really need lumber. Like everything's cosmetic. It's just like, we're just fixing what's already there. You know, with contractors, it was actually very easy for us to find contractors, at least during that time, because everybody was scared. Like nobody was buying houses, and they were like, oh dude, like we don't want to, at least in our space. And so for me, I was one of the only guys who continued to buy throughout COVID, at least for like the 2 months we were locked up.
Yeah.
And the contractors were like, dude, Like, we're with you because everybody else was scared.
So you were employing them while everyone else was too scared to take the risks.
Yep.
So they kind of stuck by you, and even when they did have other projects, they still stuck by you. And
Yeah, and a lot of these guys have been with me for years, right? Like, they know I'm always going to keep buying. And so, you know, they don't really think the grass is green. They're like, dude, I know if I stay with this guy, I'm going to have consistent work.
So you had those connections built up. Were you doing this exclusively here in the Las Vegas area, or were you doing it in other states as well?
Just mainly Vegas. I mean,
Mainly
we've
Vegas?
done flips in Cali and Arizona and other places, but like 99% in Vegas.
What would you say are some of the best real estate markets to invest in nowadays?
Yeah.
You know, it really depends what you're looking for. I always tell people this, right? Like, if you're flipping houses or wholesaling, you can do it anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Like, a deal's a deal. Okay. But if you're investing for the long term and you're trying to pick something that, hey, 10 years from now, it's going to have been a good choice, you need to really look at like whether or not you're going for appreciation or cash flow.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard to have both.
Yeah.
And so when you look at, you know, places like Las Vegas, Miami, California, Texas, these are all appreciation markets.
Yes.
You know, the last 5 years, Miami's gone nuts.
It's went wild. Vegas too.
Vegas
When
is
I
nuts.
came here, I was shocked at how much traffic there was here. And I was like, you know, it's all these California migrants, man, that have come here
Oh, yeah.
after the pandemic. And same thing we're experiencing in Florida. All the New Yorkers and people from the Northeast left because they're like, why am I paying all this rent when I could be in the sun working from home? So Florida's real estate market has went up crazy, especially Miami. And so I've noticed here Vegas as well.
Yep, 100%. And so what's funny is, like, if you would have bought a house 5 years ago in Vegas, like, let's just take a $300,000 home, like, good neighborhood.
3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Yeah, nice
standard.
house. That house would have rented for like $1,800. And so, like, if you do the math and you get a mortgage on $300,000, you're like, oh, well, the rent or the mortgage would have been $1,800 and the rent's 18, like, it's not a good deal.
Yep.
But you look 5 years later in hindsight and you're like, well, that house is now worth $500,000 to $600,000. That house now rents for $3,000 plus. Like, that was the house,
Yep.
right? And, you know, that's the thing with appreciation markets. Like, if you can ride them out, like, you'll be good. And that's why, like, you know, I don't know if you guys ever talk about Grant Cardone, but, like, you know, he was here a couple of months ago and I was interviewing him, and you know, for him, he gets a lot of slack because he's always buying like grade A, just crazy properties.
32 units plus
Commercial.
like, big, yeah.
huge.
Like multiple $100 million buildings in Miami and all these
Fort
things,
Lauderdale.
right? Yep. And you know, they don't seem like great deals. Like, he's paying market value and people are like, oh, well, the return sucks. And it's like, yeah, but like, let's see in 5 to 10 years what those buildings are like. And so, you know, if you're going to invest long term, you got to really look at a 10-year time horizon. And so, like, for me, I'm a big believer in appreciation markets like Florida, Vegas, Texas, and basically like these southern markets, right?
Yeah,
What I don't like is, you know, like Midwest markets. And it's not like that I don't like the Midwest.
You don't like the, oh, okay. All right.
Well, we have apartments in the Midwest, and apartments are a different thing. So let's talk about single family.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
in the single family space, if you're going to go the cash flow markets, they're typically going to be cheaper homes in the Midwest. And so, man, you could go buy houses in the Midwest for like 10 grand.
Yeah.
You could go buy them for 100 grand, right? And like, you look at the numbers and you're like, okay, I can get this house for 100 grand. It rents for $1,000. I can get this house for 150. It rents for 1,500, right? And you're like, I can't get that in Florida.
Yeah.
I can't get that in Vegas. But here's the thing, you know, 5-10 years from now, what's that house worth?
Yep.
The house might be worth 200, you know, max, and it might rent for whatever. But in 10 years, you give me the appreciation market in a good area. Also, like with those other markets, they're newer homes too. Like Vegas, we have newer construction. There's less maintenance. The Midwest, homes can be 100 years old. Like, you know, and they have harsh weather. They have more repairs.
Yep.
So like, I look at all those factors and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I would sacrifice less cash flow today for the way bigger payday 10 years from now.
Okay. And you know, it's interesting because when I was here about 2 years ago, I called it. I was like, Vegas is going to be a great real estate market to be in because I saw a lot of new apartment complexes. I saw that the Raiders were coming here with the new stadium. And I also heard the Oakland A's are going to come over here as well for baseball. So to me, I look at it like all these things are, you know, a plus for this market building. And then also, let's be honest, LA sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people are trying to get out of there and move somewhere that's cheaper to live. And if I'm not mistaken, Nevada has no state income tax, right?
No state income tax.
So-
the weather's good.
Yeah.
LeBron, did you hear what LeBron said? He wants to buy the NBA team that's going to come here. Like, he's already saying, like, hey, Vegas is getting an NBA team and I want to own it.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. And all these
Even
things,
that.
like paying attention to all these like little things. And I called it 2 years ago that I was like, I think Vegas is going to be a great real estate market, and bam, it's here.
Yep.
Is it too late for someone to get into real estate here in Vegas?
No, dude, not at all.
Not at all.
Like, I actually was just talking to our team, right? So we've been buying a lot of multifamily because, like, you know, it's like, that's the progression. You go from like wholesaler who's just getting started to, hey, now I flip houses, to now I got some rentals. Maybe I got some Airbnbs.
Now I'm buying and holding.
Yep. Now I'm going to go get some multifamily. And so, like, that's what you see from a lot of people, right? And that's what I've done. But now I'm looking at it and I'm like, dude, you know, the last 13 years, I've been in real estate since 2010 here. I watched all the hedge funds, Blackstone, all these big guys start buying homes back in 2010. And they were paying 100%, 110% of market value. They were going to the auctions and buying 100 houses a day. Like, that's what they were doing.
Damn.
And all my friends who were back at those auctions back then were like, dude, these guys are crazy. They're stupid. Because as flippers, we're like, dude, we got to get it for, you know, 60, 70%. Like, we can't be paying 100%. We'll lose money.
Yep.
But Blackstone had a 10-year time horizon.
Yep.
And they knew that, hey, dude, these prices are so low. Like, we could pay 200% and like
And still be good.
It's going to be a good deal. And so they did. They bought homes for like 7-8 years straight. They exited 10 years later and made a few $1 billion here in the Vegas market. And I was like, wow, I understand now, having been in the game, like, why they did what they did. And now I look at it, and even today, we still wholesale a lot. And there's hedge funds that buy from us, and they still are just buying, holding for the next 5-10 years.
Yep.
They're going to exit. They're going to accumulate 1,000+ homes and sell them off.
What is your statement to the people that keep saying that the real estate market's going to crash?
Don't buy now.
Don't buy now. Oh my God, the Fed keeps raising interest rates. I think they just raised them today, another, I think 25 basis points.
Okay.
Like, what is your message to all the people that keep saying that the real estate market is going to crash?
Bro, I mean, they've been saying it literally since 2010 when I got into real estate.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a quick story. So
Please.
I was a realtor 2010, and I'm showing this house that had just been built in 2008 here in Vegas, like 1,800 square feet, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and it sold for like $350 back in 08. And I'm showing this house, and it's $90,000. It had never been lived in.
Damn.
Like, there was
So it was 350 prior to the housing crash.
Yep.
And then it came down to 90.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, like prices dropped like 80% in Vegas, right? So this house is $90,000. I'm 21 years old, showing this house in 2010. And I'm telling the guy, I'm like, hey, this house sold just 2 years ago. Like, literally everything's brand new. Like, nobody's even lived in it. It just got foreclosed on. It's good. So he's walking through it, and I'm like, okay, so like, you ready to write up an offer? And he's like, yeah. What do you think we can offer? I'm like, dude, there's like no competition here. We can offer like whatever we want. And he's like, let's offer 70,000. I'm like, okay, cool. So I go home, I do this DocuSign and send it to him, call him up. I'm like, hey, it's in your e-box. He's like, hey, you know what, dude? I actually think the market's going to crash, and I'm just going to wait it out. And I was like, I'm 21, you know, obviously I don't know a lot yet, but I'm like, but is it going to be free? Like,
Yeah.
how much cheaper does the house
Yeah.
get? You can't build a house for $90,000.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, I need to be the investor.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
At that point.
ridiculous, right? Like, the house was going to rent for $1,200. Like, it was like a no-brainer. And it was from that point forward, I was like, one day I'm going to be the investor. But point is, with that story,
Was that the turning point for you? You were like, fuck this shit.
well, in my mind, yeah, but it took me 5 years before I ever like fully did it.
Yeah.
Because I had all these limiting beliefs. I thought I needed all this money.
Yeah.
Like, so I didn't, it took me 5 years from that point to flip my first house.
Yeah.
But the point is, like, that guy thought the market was crashing. And I'll tell you, there was fear everywhere in 2010 because all these people just got burned by real estate. Everybody was like, dude, real estate sucks. Why would you ever invest in that? You know, whatever, right? And then, 2015, I start flipping, and they're like, dude, you missed it. Like, everything, it's going to crash. Like, we're due for another cycle. It's been 8 years. And then, we get the pandemic in 2020, and everyone's like, oh, it's going to crash. and then
went up.
the biggest run we've ever had,
Yeah.
period, right?
Yeah.
And, it's just like,
Interest rates were under 3%.
Yeah.
I bought a bunch of houses that year, and I was just like, this
Free
is
money.
free money.
Free money, literally free money.
How could you not invest? But people were still like, oh, I don't know if I should invest. It's going to be scary, man. You might lose your money, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, like,
I mean, here's what I'll say is like, whoever you are listening to and what they're saying, look at their own credentials, right?
Yep.
If they're broke, why would you listen to them?
yeah.
Like, watch
Facts.
what the smart money does.
So, go ahead.
Could you tell us from your vast experience in real estate, 2 mistakes, Ryan, that people make all the time when it comes to investing in real estate? 2 mistakes.
Two big mistakes.
Yeah.
Number one, this is the first big mistake, and it's why it took me 5 years to flip my first house, was that I thought I needed to like make all this money before I could invest. And so like people will be like, should I get my real estate license first? Should I like do this first? Do I got to save up like all this money for a down payment first? And so like they have always this, I got to do this first before they start.
Yeah.
And it's just not true, right? Like if you had a deal right now that was 50% of market value, you don't think somebody would buy that from you and give you money for it? Like you'll make a lot of money if you just find a really good deal.
Yeah.
So that's the first mistake. They think they need a bunch of money. They think they need all these credentials and stuff that they don't need, right? So that's number one. Number two would be people just underestimate how much time it takes to find a good deal, right? Like, we'll have people who join our coaching and they'll be like, hey, I haven't got a deal yet and it's been a month. And we're like, well, when you're first getting started, it takes time. Like you're not gonna, you might find a deal the first month, but odds are you're gonna like build your foundation and the fundamentals. Like it's gonna take time. And then once your foundation is built, then you start rolling. But what they underestimate is the amount of deals you got to look through in order to get a deal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we'll always ask them, we're like, okay, you haven't got a deal yet. How many offers did you make? And they're like, oh, well, I haven't made any offers this week. It's just like, well, how are you going to get a deal?
Yeah.
What do you expect?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Going back to what we were talking about, the predictions as far as like the market crashing or whatever. The other thing too that like people don't know is that like Blackstone and all these like big companies, they're still buying single family homes like now.
Right
like,
now, we
they're
still
still going
sell them.
crazy.
Yeah.
Like buying them. And if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, we're like what 5 million homes short for single family homes in the United States at this point. So it's like if there's if we don't have enough supply, how's the market going to crash?
1000%. So like this was always my theory even last year when they were raising rates, right?
Yeah.
Like people were like, oh, dude, market's going to tank. Now we had a soft correction. Like here
Yep.
in Vegas, it corrected about 10%.
Yep.
Now we're on the way back up.
Yep.
Right now. But my this was my theory. I was like, hey, this is what I think is going to happen. Okay. Number one, because rates are so high, you're going to have all these people who would have sold, but now they won't because they have a great rate, right? Like if you have a 3% rate on your home, are you selling?
Hell no.
You're not even going to do a refi.
No.
Yeah.
What are you going to buy?
Yeah.
Like it'll cost you more to rent.
Yeah.
And so all these, and did you know that 50% of the mortgages are 3% or under? So
Minus.
you said you had a bunch.
I
You
bought a
got
bunch, yeah.
I got a bunch.
Yep.
I ain't selling any of mine that are 3%.
Nope.
Hell no.
So you have half of the homes with mortgages, 3% and under, who do not want to sell. And the only way they'll sell is if like they absolutely had to, right?
Yep.
So that limits supply. And then you have all these people who bought within the last 18 months. Okay, if you bought in the last 18 months, you're probably like either at break even or underwater. So you're not selling. You'll lose money if you try to sell. So that's another chunk of homes that aren't hitting the market. And so basically you have this chunk that's the remaining inventory. And you have all these buyers who are now like, rates are what they are.
Yeah.
Like if I want to buy, like I basically have no choice.
I think also the thing that people fail to realize is that you got to look at the circumstances that led to the last crash, right? Which are no longer available, right? They were basically giving you a loan if you existed and had a pulse.
Yeah.
Right? Right. Versus like now it's much harder to get a loan than it was back in like 08, 07.
But you guys would think it's funny. Like, we had strippers here in Vegas, like having 10 houses.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. No credit, no nothing.
Nothing.
It's just like they're just like, I got a bunch of cash. Like,
Yeah.
okay, we'll give you a house. Like they were selling
I'm
houses.
an investor.
Like,
yeah.
So I think
was the thing.
The between the housing shortage and then the fact that the banks are much more stringent upon like standards as far as like giving you a loan.
Yep.
I there's no way there's going to be a crash to that level at least.
1000%. Plus, you got to remember back before 2008, hedge funds didn't buy single family homes, right? Like it was the only people that bought were primary homeowners and then like small mom and pop investors. And like that was it. After the crash, you know, someone on Wall Street looked at the situation and they were like, holy crap, like I can get a house built in 2008 in Vegas for $90,000. You can't build that. Like we need to buy up every single one of these right now.
Yep.
I was like, we got that's what I do every time I see new Gorilla Mind.
And guys, we are affiliates with Gorilla Mind, so go check them out. Actually,
when I saw the Gorilla Mind in the fridge, I said, "Oh!"
yeah, we got a whole new shipment.
I want to see the sun with it on my soul, bro. Yo, Derek Moore plays with it. Yo, I want to shake his hand when I see him. I want to shake.
Now he went crazy with the Gorilla Mind.
Crazy, bro.
And get the stuff. It's great quality stuff, man. You guys seen me posted on my Instagram before with the pre-workout, especially.
This is what happens when he drinks like 3 Gorilla Minds.
Because that grape fire though, ain't it?
Bro,
So
good stuff.
Get a fresh discount to stay fresh in the gym.
W Gorilla Mind. W Derek more plates, more dates. I mean, no. More plates, more dates. Did I say that right?
More plates, more dates.
More plates, more dates. Yeah. W Derek, more plates, more dates. W Gorilla Mind. Grape and orange are my favorite ones.
So go check them out. I got the link below if you guys want to go ahead and get a discount. I think it's the code is fresh if I'm not mistaken. But go check it out, man. Get this.